The story begins with a boy named Arel sitting with his family, sharing a meal. They are celebrating that he has been accepted among the heroes. They guess what kind of class he will get. But Arel thinks different. He believes his class will be nothing special. In this world, hero classes are sacred gifts given by a higher being to children when they turn 10 years old. These gifts give them powers, talents, and decide their future from that day on. On the ceremony day, the students gather in the academy hall. The priest starts the ritual. He puts his hand on each child's forehead. The first child gets the blacksmith class and runs happily to his father. The ritual goes on, child after child. Then it is Arel's turn. Everyone watches. They expect something great because of his family's name. Arel closes his eyes and focuses, but nothing happens. The priest is shocked. In the end, he says it clearly. Arel has no class. This is rare. A hero without a class. Right away, his family's joy disappears. They start talking about his lost future. They believe he will live as a failure with no talent. The next day, Arel trains outside with his sword. His parents tell him they will not leave him. He says he is fine, but he does not want to be a burden. He reminds them that he has trained with the sword alongside his mother since he was little. Even without a class, he can still be useful. His mother feels proud of his words. His father starts to think he might still find his own way. After that, Arel leaves to continue his training. At the training ground, he meets two boys who have the swordsman class. They are practicing. When they see him, they make fun of him. They ask what someone without a class is doing here. Arel answers calmly that he came to train, just like them. They laugh. Their class makes them believe they do not need to train at all. Still, they show off their class powers while Arel watches them with admiration. Without any hesitation, Arel challenges them to a fight. They mock him again, but he stays confident. He says he does not need a class. One of them accepts. He wants to prove he is better. Before the fight starts, he warns Arel to turn on the protection blessing. This is a temporary shield everyone has. Arel agrees. The fight begins. The opponent attacks, but Arel blocks easily. He attacks again, but Arel dodges. His friend tells him to finish it fast. But as the fight goes on, he realizes Arel is not an easy opponent. He starts to feel he might lose, so he signals his friend. The second boy attacks from behind, but Arel senses it and dodges at the last moment. Seeing them confused, Arel understands. Their class gives them power, but they have no teamwork. He uses this weakness. He disappears from their sight, then suddenly appears again and lands a strong hit. He knocks one of them out. The other tries one last attack, but trips over his friend. Arel finishes him quickly and calmly says he has won. After that, they accuse him of cheating and ask for another fight. Arel agrees right away. Before the second round begins, a red-haired young man steps in. He scolds them harshly. He warns them not to make excuses and calls them a shame to all swordsmen. One of them recognizes him. He is the son of the captain of the guards. His name is Ivan. The red-haired young man walks up to Arel and asks if he is the son of the sword princess Farah. He praises Arel's fighting style, but says his opponents were just beginners. Then he raises his sword. "Fight me, and I will show you the true power of the swordsman class." The duel begins. The red-haired young man strikes with power and control. Every move is precise and polished. Arel quickly notices that his strength comes from anger. He waits, then moves in to attack, but suddenly, a double strike. The second hit lands right away, catching Arel off guard and sending him into the wall. He gets his first wound. The opponent smiles and mocks him. This, he says, is a skill of the swordsman class. Arel steadies himself. He does not give up. He says he will keep training until he can block that move and defeat him. The red-haired young man pauses. Hearing those words, he respects Arel's will. Days pass. Arel trains with everything he has. His sister does not understand why he keeps trying, so their mother shows her a box filled with broken swords. All of them broke during his hard practice. She is shocked, then impressed. Somewhere deep in the forest, Arel finally does it. He copies the double strike. Right at that moment of success, a goblin attacks. Without thinking, Arel uses the technique and kills it in one hit. But then a huge hobgoblin appears. Before it can move, Arel hears a familiar voice. He rushes forward and finds the red-haired young man injured and surrounded. Without a second thought, Arel attacks from behind. He uses the double strike and brings the monster down. After the fight, he sees the situation. The young man is badly hurt, and his protection blessing is broken. Arel gives him holy water. His wounds start to heal. The young man is still surprised. He asks how Arel learned that skill without a class. Arel answers simply through training. Then he tells the truth. He copied the young man's moves and sees him as his real teacher. The red-haired young man is shocked, but then he agrees to a rematch. The duel starts again. Double strike clashes with double strike. Then Arel goes further, a third strike. He explains calmly, because he has no class, he is free to shape his techniques however he wants. In the end, Arel wins. He ends the duel cleanly, then quietly says the result was expected and walks away as the winner. Days later, during dinner, Arel's mother mentions that the son of the guard captain, Ivan, has left for training in Bria. Arel is curious. He asks about this place. She smiles. Bria, the city of swords. She trained there before she got married. At that moment, Arel feels it, a place where he can truly grow. 5 years pass. Arel grows up and sets out on a trip to Bria. He travels in a carriage through the forest. Along the way, some passengers start arguing. They reveal the danger of the classes they have. Then, the carriage suddenly stops. A group of orcs blocks the road. Fear spreads quickly, especially when an orc king appears. Even the swordsmen lose their courage. But Arel steps forward. He is calm and steady. He cuts through the orcs with amazing force. When they surround him, he spins like a tornado and tears through them. The driver freezes. He recognizes it. Sword dance, the signature move of the sword princess. He is shocked. How can a young man use a technique that is supposed to be exclusive? At that moment, Arel jumps toward the orc king, avoids its attack, and drives his blade into its head. The monster falls. After that, Arel returns to the carriage and asks the driver to take him to Bria so he can continue his training. The driver admits that Arel's strength is scary. Everyone is shocked when Arel tells them he has no class at all. The scene goes back 5 years. Arel shows his mother the double strike he learned from the red-haired young man. At first, she thinks she is dreaming, but he explains that he can learn techniques without needing a class. He asks her to teach him her own moves before he leaves for Bria. She is stunned by his unique talent. Back in the present, it turns out the driver is actually a high-level holy knight. He chose to work as a driver to stay away from constant battles. He tells Arel to join a sword guild and take part in the city's tournaments. When Arel arrives in Bria, he is surprised by how many swordsmen there are everywhere. After he gets off the carriage, a girl named Lilia tries to get him to join her guild. He refuses and points out her weak points. When he asks about the strongest guild, she tells him it is the Dark Guild. He goes there but is turned away for having no class. The same thing happens with other guilds. Rejection, again and again. He starts to feel frustrated. At that moment, Arel remembers the letter of recommendation his mother wrote for an old guild. He realizes she expected this to happen, so he goes back to Lilia. In the end, she takes him to the guild headquarters and introduces him to her father. He is the former twin sword king, but now he is often drunk and thinking about closing the guild. Even with all of this, Arel decides to join them. When he signs the contract, Lilia finds out he has no class. She is completely shocked. At that moment, Rihanna walks in. It becomes clear that she and Arel share a past. She is the same red-haired young fighter he used to train and fight with. She is surprised by how much he has grown. Then Lilia challenges him to a duel against Rihanna inside the guild's training ground. The fight begins. Rihanna attacks with double strike. Arel thinks he can block it easily, but her strike breaks through his defense. This is because of the weight of her sword and her class powers. He realizes she has improved. Even so, Arel uses shadow techniques and counterattacks he learned from his mother. In the end, he defeats her. Lilia announces his victory. Rihanna breaks down crying. She cannot accept her loss even though she is strong. After she calms down, Lilia welcomes Arel into their guild, Dragonfang. She explains that the guild is deep in debt and their only hope is to win the upcoming tournament. But there is a problem. Their team has only 3 members, while other teams have 5. Even so, Arel is excited. He came to Bria to find stronger opponents. The next day, Arel wakes up to his new life in the guild. He says hello to Lilia and Rihanna. Rihanna stays quiet while Lilia announces that they are officially signed up for the guild tournament. She explains the rules. You win by getting rid of the entire enemy team. Arel is a little worried about their small numbers, but Lilia stays hopeful. She explains that most opponents will not be rank A. Then she describes the ranking system from D to A. She says Bria has only about 20 rank A swordsmen. Both she and Rihanna are rank B. Even though Arel beat Rihanna, he is not considered rank A yet. The gap is very big. After that, Lilia remembers that the tournament draw is soon and rushes to check the results. Arel goes to train. He watches Rihanna's skills and asks about the endurance skill that makes her defense stronger. Then, suddenly, he asks her to teach him. She gets the wrong idea at first until he explains that he wants her to hit him with her sword while it is still in its sheath. He says the best way to understand endurance is to feel pain. She tells him it is a sacred gift tied to her class. But Arel answers calmly. He learned everything he knows, from shadow techniques to double strike, without any class. In the end, she agrees to train him. Lilia realizes that Rihanna has no experience with love, so she tries to get closer to Arel, but Rihanna objects. Arel jokes with them, making the mood lighter. Inside the training hall, Rod doubts their chances. Lilia says they beat the Dark Guild, but he thinks those fighters were beginners. When she says they were rank A, he still doubts her, until she reveals that Arel defeated them, alone. She shows the money she won and says the guild is getting better thanks to Arel. Rod warns that someone like him might leave for a bigger guild, but she ignores him and suddenly says she wants to marry him. Arel refuses right away. Rod tells her to stop. Arel says Lilia, even though she is reckless, is better than those who give up. Then, he tells Rod that he can still fight with one hand. Rod gets angry, saying a twin swordsman without two swords is nothing. Arel replies that Rod is still strong, and his real problem is giving up. Rihanna agrees, and says Rod needs to find his passion again. Arel asks Rod to train him. After that, Lilia suggests going into a dungeon. She says it is full of traps and monsters. Instead of being scared, Arel and Rihanna get excited. Rihanna says she needs experience for the Sword King Cup. Lilia gives Arel a registration paper, but he tears it, thinking it is a marriage contract. She says she was joking. Somewhere else, a man watches them through a crystal ball and decides the time has come. The next morning, Lilia tries to wake Arel and annoys him. So he ties her to the bed and goes to Rihanna, but finds her asleep. He comes back while Lilia keeps yelling. They arrive at the dungeon, which is full of adventurers. Rihanna says everyone trains here for the Sword King Cup. A magic gate takes them inside. Arel wants stronger enemies, so they head to lower floors. In a dark hallway, monsters attack. Arel cuts one but sees it keeps moving. Rihanna says they are enchanted with no clear weak spots. Arel decides to target their legs. They take one down. Rihanna says it will heal, but Arel sees it as good practice. They hear someone yelling for help. A man named Dale says his team is trapped. Rihanna wants to help, but Lilia asks for payment. Dale insults them, then shows gold, so she agrees. Arel is suspicious, but keeps going. Dale leads them to a hidden room. When Lilia touches a coin, a magic circle traps them. Dale laughs and explains the trick, but the trap is stronger than expected. They are suddenly teleported deeper. The coin shines, and a mysterious knight appears. Dale admits he was bait. The knight says they have reached the deepest layer, the tombs of the sword rulers. Arel is shocked because they were thought to be legends. The knight attacks with an air slash. Arel pushes Lilia away and takes the hit. His protection blessing blocks it. In the next moment, he appears in front of the knight. This is the perfect chance to test my strength. But the knight uses holy presence, a heavy pressure that weakens everyone around him. At that moment, Arel remembers his mother's training. He knows how to fight through it using infinite break. The fight continues. The knight is surprised that Arel can still move under the pressure. Arel fixes his timing, activates infinite break, and destroys the knight's armor completely. Lilia celebrates and calls him her husband, but Arel says no again. Rihanna asks how he knows this skill. He tells her his mother taught him. They are shocked. Rihanna then asks why his mother, the sword princess, disappeared into a small village. Arel explains that she just does not like attention. Rihanna feels embarrassed and says she would not have challenged him if she had known. Arel tells her not to worry. He says he learned a lot from her and that it is normal for him. After that, an exit path opens. Somewhere else, inside a tavern, the men who hired Dale celebrate their plan to destroy Dragonfang. Rod hears them and faces them. George mocks him, but everything changes when Lilia and her team walk in unharmed. Rod is relieved and runs to his daughter. George loses his composure, shocked that they survived and defeated his knight. Lilia reveals that Dale told them everything and exposed George as the one behind the plan. George denies it, saying he is not responsible for what happens in the dungeon. The team stands against him. He retreats angrily, muttering that they should have died. Later, George shows his hatred toward talented people who took his glory, like Rod, the twin sword king, and the sword princess. As his anger grows, a strange demonic sword appears in front of him. He steps back in shock and asks what it is. A voice from the sword answers. His hatred has reached it, and it will grant his wish. George steps back in fear, and asks again, "Who are you?" After that, Arel joins the Sword King Cup and asks why there are preliminaries. Rihanna explains that there are too many participants, so they narrow them down through qualifiers. Meanwhile, Lilia loses hope of winning the cup. Arel tells her not to give up so easily and tries to cheer her up. He says just being in the tournament is an achievement, but his words only make her feel worse. At the same time, Rihanna is put in a different group from Arel, which gives her a chance to win. Her group is strong, but she is confident she can qualify this year. Arel adds that her father will be proud if she succeeds, reminding her of her goal. At that moment, Lilia finds her determination again and decides not to give up. Later, the three decide to go back to the dungeon. Arel hesitates at first, but Lilia insists he come, saying they need someone to take care of them. Rihanna notices that Lilia rarely relies on herself. At that moment, Rod appears and warns them that George is targeting them outside the dungeon. He tells them to be careful. They could lose more than just a fight. Lilia understands and leaves the room. Rod apologizes for how he acted before and admits he needs to get his strength back. Arel encourages him. Days later, the preliminaries of the Sword King Cup begin. The battles start, but Lilia loses and does not reach the finals. After that, Arel tells her directly that she would have lost even if they were not in the same group. He also admits he wanted to fight her. His blunt words do not comfort her, and she starts crying. Finally, Lilia tells him the next round is the finals and warns him not to underestimate his opponents. She points out his next opponent, who has unique skills, and tells him to be very careful. But Arel does not think anything will surprise him, especially after facing similar abilities in the dungeon. But Lilia warns him that everything he has seen so far are only sword skills. Facing magic in the tournament will be completely different. Arel is surprised and asks if magic is allowed. Lilia tells him it does not matter. The only rule is being part of a guild. Arel accepts this easily, especially since he is competing without a class. The supervisor then calls the contestants to the arena, and Arel steps forward to face his opponent. The girl introduces herself as a magic swordsman and says she does not want any excuses about magic being unfair. If he loses, that is it. Arel calmly agrees, saying the stronger one will win. The fight begins. She attacks with fireballs, but Arel dodges easily, moving and cutting through them. When they fight up close, Arel notices how quickly she switches between sword and magic. She confidently says someone without rank cannot defeat her. But Arel realizes that even though she is flexible, she is not great at either sword or magic. Her level is below advanced fighters. She gets angry and lights her sword on fire. This is a special ability of her class. Arel is slightly affected but keeps defending and dodging. He admits her moves are hard to predict and that she has real talent. He even says she could become strong if she masters her style. She thinks she has the advantage, but Arel starts blocking her attacks with one hand and tells her she has not reached master level. He adds that her skill would be stronger if she had sword mastery, like Lilia. This offends her deeply. Then, Arel attacks. He uses double strike to break her fire magic, then follows with a strong hit that knocks her out. He feels happy to find a new skill he can learn in this city. The crowd cheers as Arel wins Group 4. He starts thinking about learning magic through training. Days later, Lilia tries to wake her father so he can come and support Arel, but he refuses because he is too tired. She pushes him, then accuses him of being afraid of George. He gets angry, stands up, and says he is afraid of responsibility and staying away from alcohol. He admits his sword skill has gone down and that the Sword King Cup is now harder, but Lilia's situation is worse. Some people cannot even enter the tournament. In the end, he agrees to go with her. On the way, Lilia wonders if he would have come secretly. A memory appears of him training Rihanna and encouraging her. Back in the present, Lilia explains how much he loves watching guild members grow and that he would not miss seeing Rihanna fight. He agrees and says Lilia looks like her mother. As the tournament begins, Rihanna looks nervous. Arel reassures her. She says it is normal in a tournament like this, especially when you do not know your opponent. At that moment, the first match is announced. George, the Sword Emperor and last year's champion, will fight Arel. Arel walks in calmly. Rihanna watches with concern, while Lilia cheers him on. George appears with a scary presence, almost like a different being. Even the guildmaster is shocked, and when he sees the sword, he shouts at Arel not to go near it. The sword holds a powerful sealed demon. The legend says that the sword of the sword ruler once defeated an ancient demon, became cursed, and the demon was sealed inside it under heavy guard. George reveals the seal is broken, and the demon has waited centuries for this moment. It only needed someone careless to set it free. The demon introduces itself as Doralda and announces the start of chaos. Arel is surprised that Rihanna knows the name. She explains it was in history books, even though it was thought to be a myth. Panic spreads. The crowd starts to run away, and their screams amuse the demon. But it is not enough to make up for being imprisoned for centuries. Then the demon casts Wall of Despair, trapping everyone inside the arena. The tournament turns into a nightmare. In the middle of the chaos, the demon notices Arel getting ready to fight and mocks him. But Arel stays calm. He is confident because he has faced a similar power before. The demon laughs, saying the sword ruler is dead and no one can stop him. Arel calmly corrects him. He still exists, and he can defeat the demon himself. The demon mocks him, but Arel suddenly attacks using Sacred Step, a skill of the sword ruler. The demon strikes back, but Arel stands unharmed thanks to endurance. Then Arel uses Infinite Break and overpowers him, forcing the demon to admit it is the same skill the former sword ruler used. Arel says he is just classless, and with one more strike nearly defeats him. But the demon runs away, looking for a new host. He chooses Rod, takes over his body, and breaks through the arena walls. Arel realizes the sword is the demon's true body, not George, and that he can beat it again. The demon tries to threaten him through Lilia, but the plan fails when she admits she lied and is not his future wife. At the same time, Rod fights the possession. The demon cannot fully control him. Lilia escapes. Rod regains control and throws the sword to Arel, saying the fight brought back his old strength. Arel delivers the final attack and destroys the demon completely. The Wall of Despair disappears. Arel confirms the demon will not return. After that, hundreds of students ask to join his guild. Lilia is happy to see it restored, but she is sad because Arel is leaving. Rihanna follows him. On the way, they meet the knight who once drove him. The knight asks why he is going back to that small village. Arel answers that he has nothing left to learn in the city. His opponents became like practice dummies. Now he wants to test himself against his teachers, even his mother, the sword princess Farah. The knight laughs, saying beating the strongest swordswoman is not easy. Back in the village, Farah senses Arel while picking flowers and gets a bouquet ready for his return. Arel admits he tried to arrive without being noticed, but knew it was impossible. Farah notices how much he has grown. She only sensed him when he got close. He tells her he won the Sword King Cup. She is happy. She offers him a flower. Arel is shocked and realizes the gap between them is still huge. He admits he would have died if it were a sword instead. When he reaches for his blade, she understands. He wants to challenge her. She agrees, but says they cannot fight near the village. They move to the mountain. Farah looks excited while Arel tells her to get ready. The battle will be legendary. Suddenly, Farah disappears and attacks at incredible speed. Arel barely blocks. She warns him she will fight seriously. He sees she is still far stronger. Combining Sacred Step would have beaten him instantly. Arel jumps and attacks. She blocks easily. She notices he is mixing his techniques and feels proud, but he is still below her. She explains she blocked him without using any skill. He understands that her true strength lies in timing and positioning. Farah praises him. He reminds her of how he used to fight without relying on skills. The duel gets fiercer. Every clash releases massive energy, shaking the area and destroying nearby trees. At the peak, Arel brings together everything he learned and launches a powerful strike. She blocks it, but he follows instantly. In the end, both use sword magic and finish the battle with destructive power. After that, Rihanna arrives at Arel's house. Mira opens the door and asks why she came. Rihanna says she wants to see Arel, but Mira reacts to her looks and tries to send her away, saying Arel is not interested in girls like her. At that moment, Arel and Farah arrive. Farah tells Mira to calm down. Arel is surprised to see Rihanna, but before she speaks, Mira asks why they are dirty. Arel says he barely kept up with Farah in their duel. After cleaning up, Farah asks how Arel and Rihanna met, then suddenly asks how many children they will have. Rihanna is embarrassed. Arel explains she is just his guild teammate and the same girl he fought 5 years ago. Rihanna remembers awkward memories. Then Arel asks why she came. She says she could not leave the guild suddenly, so she followed him. Farah is happy, but Rihanna adds that her real goal is to train under Farah. At the same time, Ivan, Rihanna's father, arrives to talk to Farah about what he thought was a monster attack. He explains, but Farah tells him it was just a hunt. He notices Rihanna and asks why she is here. Farah jokes that she is training to be a good housewife. Ivan is shocked and starts crying while Rihanna denies it but eventually gives up under the pressure. After that, Arel visits his father, the archmage Leon. Leon is busy with research and shows him magic circles and techniques. He asks about Rihanna, but Arel ignores it and says he almost beat Farah. Leon congratulates him and understands why he came. Arel asks to learn magic, but Leon explains it is very different from swordsmanship. Meanwhile, Rihanna causes chaos in the kitchen while cooking and breaks one of Mira's cups. Farah asks about it, and Rihanna says she is cursed when it comes to cooking. She tries to leave to train with the sword, but Farah refuses. She says cutting people is not like cutting vegetables. She insists on training her to suit Arel. At the same time, Arel helps Leon clean up and asks why they do not use magic. Leon shows a repair spell that fixes the cup, but explains that magic needs mana. Not everyone has it. Arel believes he can use it. Leon says it is possible, but hard, without mana. If Arel had mana from the start, he would have gotten a mage class. Arel insists he has mana and remembers that his protection blessing did not recover after using holy water without multiple doses. Leon realizes that Arel's power comes from his own mana, not a class blessing. So he decides to teach him. He asks him to gather mana in his hand. Arel makes a small mana ball. Leon is happy even though he is tired. Leon explains he is still a beginner and needs more mana. The only way to grow it is to use it every day. The next day, after resting, Arel buys a large supply of mana potions for a year and starts training while drinking them. He meditates and trains under Leon for 6 months. By the end, he can control his mana without passing out. Even though he is still a beginner, Leon praises his control. Arel thinks he can cast spells, but Leon stops him. He says mages need a license. He explains that mages cannot cast spells without learning them formally. They must study them. He says magic takes time and tells him to join a magic academy. But first, he must get ready for the entrance exam. Later, they eat the meal Rihanna prepared. Leon shows some magic, which makes Arel want to learn even more. 3 years pass. Rihanna trains in housework. She serves tea to Farah nervously. Farah praises her to make her feel better. Suddenly, Mira runs in crying and says Arel left. He left a letter. Rihanna reads it. He went to the magic city. Mira breaks down. Rihanna feels guilty, but Farah comforts her and tells her not to leave like Arel. Rihanna promises she will stay. Farah says everything will be fine as long as her children are safe. At the same time, Arel is on a carriage heading to the magic city. The driver says the trip will take 3 days and asks why he travels so much. This draws attention from the other passengers. Some ask if he is going to the magic academy. He says yes. He meets 3 young students, Kai, Cover, and Colette. He notices they are beginner mages with magic classes. Kai says he uses fire magic and asks Arel about his type. Arel answers he has no class. Cover laughs and says it is impossible to enter the academy without one. Arel shows his card, and they start making fun of him. A loud roar comes from the forest. The horses panic and lose control. Arel quickly realizes it is a troll king. Kai tells the driver to run, but the horses are too scared. The students try to act brave, but their fear is obvious. 2 trolls appear. Then the real troll king, much larger. Kai steps down, shaking. He uses his remaining mana and throws a big fireball. The girls think he did it, but the monster only gets angrier. Kai admits his mana is gone. The troll king moves to attack. Suddenly, a huge spell explodes and destroys it completely. Everyone is shocked. Arel steps down from the carriage, thinking he may have used too much mana. Kai asks if it was him. Cover says that level of explosion is high-tier red magic. Kai is stunned. Arel then heals the horses with magic. They calm down, and the driver thanks him. Arel asks the driver to show his skills again, but he refuses, saying it takes too much effort. Kai apologizes and calls Arel a great mage, even says he is his student. Arel tries to explain he is just a classless mage, but they think he is hiding the truth. He realizes it would have been easier to use a sword. The journey continues. After 3 days, they arrive at a floating island city. Kai points at it. The magic city. Arel is amazed by the buildings. Kai explains even the bridge is made with magic. Arel notices Kai is very attached to him, while Cover thinks he used magic to influence them. This annoys him. As they enter, Kai asks if he will join the Fire Magic Academy. Arel is surprised. Kai explains that academies are split by elements, each with its own system. Cover will join water. Colette will join wind. Arel understands he must pass an entrance exam and hopes he is not rejected. After saying goodbye to the girls, he goes with Kai to the Fire Academy. When he hands in his application, the staff checks his information. He expects to be rejected for having no class, but they accept him normally. They head to the test area. A young boy steps forward and makes a fireball, proudly calling himself an advanced mage. Everyone is shocked. Arel asks about the advanced class. Kai calls the boy arrogant, but Arel sees nothing special. The boy then uses an explosion spell and burns the test dummy. Everyone is stunned. Kai starts praising Arel, which annoys the boy. Arel stays quiet, so the boy thinks he is scared. The boy claims he destroyed the metal dummy. Arel tells him to look again. It is still in one piece. The examiner explains it is made of strong material. Arel gets curious. He steps forward and uses his full power. The examiner is surprised by his method. Arel releases an explosion spell. It looks like a thin line of fire. The boy mocks it. Then suddenly, the dummy is completely destroyed. Everyone is shocked. The boy cannot believe it and accuses Arel of cheating. Arel explains he squeezed the energy to make it hotter, but the boy does not understand. After that, Arel leaves. Kai asks where he is going. He answers that he will take the tests for the other academies as well. Soon, he reaches the Water Academy. Cover has already finished. She is surprised to see him. He says he will try too. When his turn comes, he uses a spell that makes sharp ice blades, shattering the dummy. Then, he goes to the Wind Academy. There, he finds Colette sitting alone, nervous. He asks why she has not taken the test. She says she is too anxious to even sign up. She needs support. Arel tells her to try. She asks how he deals with fear. He answers that he has never felt it. She is shocked. She explains that people fear failing. After thinking, he asks if she has failed before. She says many times, and that is why she is afraid. She assumes he went through the same. Arel does not understand why she fears it and says failure is not the end. His words shake her. She finds the courage to try again. After she calms down, she thanks him. Then he asks about the Wind Academy test. Colette explains that the test requires powering a windmill with magic. Arel signs up, enters the test, focuses his mana, and releases a strong wind spell that destroys the windmill. He realizes it was not made of the same strong material as the other dummies. The examiner says he passed and asks Colette to begin. Even though she is nervous, Arel reminds her to stay calm, and she succeeds. After that, Arel goes to the other academies and passes all the tests. Finally, he reaches the Dark Magic Academy and is shocked by how run down it looks. Inside, he sees a strange creature in a box. A woman suddenly appears and asks if he saw her pet, Joy. Arel points to the box. She takes it happily and says she made it herself. At that moment, a skeleton appears and cuts off her head instantly. Arel is shocked. The skeleton introduces itself as Latalia. Arel asks about the dark magic test. Latalia says no one cares about it, so there is no exam. Even so, Arel decides to join. Back in the city, Kai, Cover, and Colette call out to him. They ask which academy he will choose and start arguing. Arel answers calmly, all of them. Kai is shocked and says it is impossible. Arel shows 6 acceptance cards and everyone is stunned. He explains that each academy keeps separate records, but the problem is schedule conflicts. Attendance is only 20% of the grade, while exams matter more. Colette says it will still be hard, so Arel suggests sharing notes. They agree. He decides to attend 3 academies himself, especially since dark magic has no set schedule. 2 remain. Kai asks him to go to the first class together. Even though it sounds crazy, Arel stays calm. They walk into the class and sit in the back. An advanced student named Royce notices them. Kai mocks him for losing to Arel. Royce gets angry and calls Arel a spell cheater. Arel denies it. Royce assumes he is a normal mage. Arel denies that too, leaving him confused. The teacher walks in. Royce asks about Arel's class. The teacher checks and calmly says Arel has no class. Royce is shocked. The lesson begins. The teacher writes down complex spells. Kai struggles, but Arel realizes they are just basic magic symbols. The teacher explains that understanding spells is needed for higher levels. He adds that mastering the symbols increases power and lowers mana cost. Arel becomes interested. The teacher says advanced mages can create new effects by rearranging spells. Kai realizes Arel has been doing this naturally. Arel remembers how his father easily handled spells. The next day, Arel goes to the Wind Academy. He feels a little bored because nothing new has appeared, but he is still interested in flying. Colette is surprised that basic flight is new to him. He says his father fears heights and never let him try. The teacher tells them to imagine moving with air like birds. Arel realizes this method works for wind class users, but not for him. Colette manages to fly for a short time, then falls. Others laugh, but she refuses to give up. Arel watches and believes she will succeed soon. When his turn comes, he uses a wind spell, but it is too strong. He rises high, then crashes down. He realizes his method was wrong. At that moment, another student walks up, mocks him, and shows off his flying skill. He says he can win any race. Arel is surprised and asks about the race. Colette explains that wind users race through difficult courses to test their flying skills. Arel gets excited and decides to join, but the student says it takes real flying skill. Arel answers with confidence that he can learn it through training. The student says the race is in 2 months and that Arel needs at least 6 months. He tells him to wait until next year. Arel insists he will be ready, and Colette believes in him. A few days later, Kai goes to the Wind Academy with the girls. They mention strange rumors that scare him, while Cover mocks him. They argue until Colette asks them to be quiet. Suddenly, they see a figure behind her and scream. The figure climbs through the window and covers Colette's mouth. Kai tries to threaten it, but it reveals itself. It is Arel. They ask what he is doing. He points to himself floating and says he trains flying every night. Cover realizes the truth, while Kai worries about him. Arel tells them not to worry. He says he sleeps while using the spell. They are shocked. He explains it saves time and helps him recover. Cover doubts it, but he insists he is fine. She ends up impressed. Kai admits he has been slacking and cannot reach Arel's level, but he will improve in his own way. Arel tells him to overcome his fear first. The girls also decide to train harder. After that, they return Colette's item and leave. Arel thinks about his next step and goes to the Dark Magic Academy. Latalia is surprised to see him. He says he only wants to use the library. She is disappointed, but gives him access. He explains he is interested in rare dark magic books. She tries to recruit him, but he refuses. The next day, during fire class, Arel raises his hand and points out a mistake in a spell. The teacher is surprised, then confirms it and fixes it. Kai is impressed. Arel explains he has to memorize spells since he cannot call them up naturally. Kai is surprised, so Arel says he shortens spells to save memory. The teacher asks him to write his version. Arel shows a shorter spell by taking away 2 lines. The teacher praises him but warns that it is missing safety features and could explode. Arel says his protection blessing is enough. The teacher is surprised by his tolerance, but Arel says he can take it as long as he does not die. After thinking, the teacher offers him a chance to test directly into the 2nd level. Arel agrees, and Royce asks to take it too. They go to a locked arena. The teacher explains that a monster will appear and must be defeated. He warns them not to get too close. Royce goes first. A large minotaur appears. Royce panics as it charges. He uses a strong explosion, but it dodges and keeps attacking. Arel is impressed by the power, but notices the lack of aim. Royce tries a wall of fire, but misses again. The minotaur gets close and raises its arm. Royce freezes. Suddenly, the monster disappears. The teacher laughs and says the school would not put students in real danger. Arel notices he enjoyed it, while Royce feels frustrated. The teacher comforts him, saying his result is good for his level, but Royce sees the truth. Arel has already passed him. He understands the test, showed his limits. In the end, he admits his weakness and promises to train seriously. The teacher nods, then tells Arel to get ready. Arel steps into the test arena. The teacher tells him he will face the same monster. The gate opens. A minotaur appears, but Arel immediately sees it as different. Even the teacher is confused. Another instructor arrives and admits she released a stronger minotaur for Arel. The teacher is shocked. The minotaur charges. Arel calmly summons 2 flaming spears, surprising them. Bakos notes that while weaker than explosion magic, they are more precise. Arel throws them. The minotaur jumps over them. The teacher realizes this is normal for a strong minotaur and starts to worry. He offers help, but Arel refuses. Bakos says direct attacks will not work. Arel adjusts. He redirects the spears from behind. They stab the minotaur and bring it down. Bakos asks if he added a tracking effect. He says yes. Arel finishes it with an explosion spell, turning it to ash. The teacher is stunned and starts to doubt that Arel truly has no class. Arel walks out and asks if he passed. Bakos says obviously. She tells him to join the 2nd level classes. Later, Kai hears about his promotion and brags about him. But Arel is not fully satisfied. because he needed special permission. He worries the other academies will not allow it. The girls realize he wants a promotion everywhere. In fact, all 6 academies, they are shocked. Somewhere else, Rihanna tries cooking alone, but struggles with the heat. She keeps trying, afraid of the oil. Mira rushes her, but Farah tells her to be patient. She says strength takes time, just like Arel. Mira says Rihanna cannot be compared to him. Rihanna agrees and wonders what he is doing now. At the Water Academy, Arel asks Hangul for a promotion test. She says he must wait, but he asks for an exception. She explains exceptions are only for top students. He offers to prove himself. She sighs and says she might think about it if he does well in class. Arel replies that he does not want to attend classes that add nothing. This makes her angry. He says his level is already higher. This provokes her, so she challenges him. They go to a training field. Cover watches, curious. Hangul sets the rules, no physical attacks. Arel agrees and steps back. She thinks he is scared, but he says calmly he cannot promise a win yet, but sees a good chance. She attacks first. An ice storm traps him. Cover worries. Hangul thinks she has won. Then Arel breaks the ice from inside. He used an ice barrier. Hangul is finally surprised. Arel summons many ice spikes and attacks. She thinks it is simple, but he follows with a second wave, changing the rhythm completely. Arel keeps up his attack with ice shards. Hangul forms ice blades to block them. Seeing her defense, Arel realizes she deserves her position. Hangul remembers his entrance test and assumes ice magic is his specialty. She says it is hers too and challenges him directly. Arel ups his attack, creating more shards. Hangul keeps up. Then, he makes 100 shards, surrounding her completely. Hangul realizes that controlling that many requires complex spell changes. She has no time to fight back. Arel attacks. She blocks with a strong barrier, but she notices his power does not fade, even with heavy mana use. Then she sees that the shards are freezing around the barrier, making it thicker. She thinks she will win when his mana runs out, but Arel says he will end it now. She is confused. His attacks did not break her defense. He reveals that was not the goal. At that moment, a huge ice spear drops from above. Hangul is shocked by his mana. She tries to block, but the spear breaks through and defeats her. Arel wins. After that, he leaves and meets his friends. They tell him Hangul promoted him directly to the highest level. They see that his goal is to master all magic types. Then he goes to the Wind Academy for promotion. The teacher, with Colette present, says they do not allow exceptions. Colette tries to pull him away, but the teacher checks the rules and finds that the principal can give a direct promotion. Arel sees a chance, but she refuses to let him meet the principal and warns him not to cause trouble. He stays calm. Colette asks why he is in such a hurry. He says he is trying to catch up to someone he admires. He asks to show his skills, but she refuses again. Then Colette remembers that the principal gives a prize to the race winner. Arel sees this as his chance. The teacher warns him that the race has over 300 people. Still, he decides to join. During preparation, a proud student named Skite appears. Arel does not remember him, which hurts Skite's pride. Skite introduces himself and says he will become the greatest wind user. Arel simply says he will win. Skite is shocked because he knows Arel could not fly 2 months ago. Arel says he trained hard. The event begins. Jared announces the race. The course goes around the whole Magic City and back to the start. He also introduces the principal as a guest. Then comes the commentator, Dumble, who impresses the crowd, especially the girls. This makes Kai jealous. The racers line up, the race starts. They shoot into the air. At first, many new participants crash into each other and fall. Only the strongest remain. Jared keeps commentating. Suddenly, one racer loses control and crashes into the audience. Dumble notes the same mistake happened last year. At the same time, a racer named Dion is in the top 15. Dumble notices new faces. When he focuses on Skite and Arel, Skite is surprised that Arel can keep up at this speed. Arel says calmly that professionals do not go full speed at the start. They save energy. Skite is shocked. He calls this speed slow. Arel sees a sharp turn at a narrow passage near the gate and gets ready. The racers reach it. The crowd holds its breath. The first two fail and fall into the lake. Skite barely makes it. He thinks he lost Arel, but Arel catches up easily. As the race goes on, Jared says they have reached the halfway point. Dion is leading. Dumble expects her to win again since she is a 3-time champion. But Skite and Arel keeping up excites the crowd. Dion is surprised and increases her speed. Skite tries to follow, but his mana runs out. He admits defeat. Dumble praises his effort. Now, all eyes are on Arel. He keeps flying next to Dion. She speeds up again. Arel reaches his limit, then uses a special move. He releases air blasts under his feet, pushing him faster. Jared is surprised. Dumble explains that he squeezes air and pushes it to speed up, but the real power comes from Arel's leg strength. This is something only very skilled swordsmen can do. Arel realizes this. He is using a movement skill called swar. Near the finish, Jared wonders who will win. Dumble points to the final sharp turn at the gate. Dion slows down to make the turn, but Arel does not. She is forced to stay behind him. Jared praises him, but doubts he can make it. Suddenly, Arel hits the air in front of him, reducing his speed and changing direction. He passes smoothly, crosses the finish line, and wins his first race. After the race, Dion congratulates him and promises to come back stronger next year. Skite finishes third. Then the principal congratulates Arel and gives him a certificate and medal. Arel asks for a promotion. The principal agrees right away and moves him to the second year. He asks about Arel's skills. Arel says he learned them at the academy. The principal doubts it, but wishes him well. Arel feels satisfied after moving ahead in fire, water, and wind academies. He aims to finish the rest. Days later, he goes to the Yellow Magic Academy and asks about a promotion. A teacher says he must present an invention at the school exhibition, but all spots are full. He tries to convince her and says he made a new type of golem, but she refuses. At that moment, a teacher named Ragwell steps in. He is interested in Arel's idea and offers him a research assistant job in exchange for a spot. Arel is unsure, but accepts. The first teacher feels something is wrong, which confuses Arel. She explains that although Ragwell will let him join the exhibition, his conditions are tough. He is obsessed with golems and uses them to crush weaker students. Arel realizes he was just an experiment. She offers to help him drop out, but he refuses. He says he can fight. Days later, the exhibition begins. Teachers show their inventions. Ragwell enters and announces his golems, and the crowd whispers that he is looking for a victim. He summons earth golems and asks Arel to present his. Arel calls it Alpha. Ragwell is shocked. It is fully metal. The students are impressed. He assumes it is slow and looks inside. He removes the head. It is empty. He sees it is made from a light metal. Ragwell orders his golems to attack. One charges, but Alpha blocks easily and breaks its arm. Ragwell is shocked. After fixing it, he orders all golems to join together and attack at once. He thinks Alpha cannot defend, so Arel gives Alpha swords. Ragwell mocks him and orders the final attack, but Alpha destroys every golem in one strike. Ragwell is stunned. Arel thinks it is simple, but Ragwell says such sword skill cannot come from a normal golem. Arel explains he designed it with flexible joints and light metal to use less mana and move better. Ragwell understands, but is still shocked. Arel asks if this is enough for a promotion. Ragwell says assistants cannot apply, but offers direct promotion if he joins his lab. Arel agrees. After advancing in yellow magic, he goes to the White Magic Institute. There, he meets Kaidi, who is blind but can see magical energy. When she looks at him, she is shocked by his endless energy. He tells her not to worry. She ignores it and takes him into a cave. She explains it is filled with skeletons that are kept moving by magic. Arel uses light magic. She warns him, too late. Skeletons attack, but he destroys them instantly with holy light and moves forward. Kaidi follows and tells him he has already passed. The test only required beating a few enemies. She worries about his mana use, but he says he has not used even 1%. Suddenly, a strong undead appears. Arel pushes it back with holy light. It tries to speak, but he keeps attacking. Then, Kaidi is shocked. She says he just beat White, a high-rank undead, and that only experts use this spell. Arel says it is just a stronger version of holy light. She is speechless. After that, he goes to the dark magic school. While reading, Latalia appears behind him, and he accidentally cuts off her head. She calmly picks it up. Arel is frustrated that there are no promotion tests. Latalia explains the system fell apart after the school declined. The place is almost empty. Arel notices this and asks about a room behind the library. She says it is a dark magic lab that was only used inside the school because it is dangerous. Arel decides to use it. While reading a book, it suddenly gives off a blinding light. When the light fades, the book is empty. Arel realizes the magic energy escaped and starts looking for it, sensing a dark aura. Arel sees a man floating in the air. The thing thanks him for freeing it from the book. When Arel asks if it is a demon, it says yes. The demon smiles and offers him a reward for touching the book. Arel refuses. The demon reveals the truth. It needs a human sacrifice to go back to its world, then attacks. Arel blocks easily and hits back with his staff. He tries an explosion spell, but it fails. The demon says a barrier is blocking magic. Arel switches to physical fighting. He swings his staff and splits the demon's head. The demon quickly reforms. It is surprised and thinks Arel is a swordsman. Arel says he has no class. Arel keeps attacking. The demon says physical attacks do nothing, but Arel keeps striking, overwhelming it. Under pressure, the demon shrinks to save mana until it is as small as a mouse. It gives up and begs him to stop. Arel agrees, but seals it instead. He says the demon is now his servant. When the demon fights back, it feels pain. Arel warns it not to rebel. At that moment, Latalia arrives and is shocked, but Arel tells her it is fine. After that, Arel meets his friends. They congratulate him. He tells his servant Mati to get food, and he leaves while complaining. On the way, Mati swears to break the contract and get revenge. 6 months later, the 6 academy heads meet. A supervisor explains that the budget depends on performance and student numbers. When dark magic is mentioned, its director argues against a budget cut. The supervisor says their low contribution is the reason. The director says he cannot continue his research. The white magic head suggests closing the school, calling it dangerous. The supervisor refuses to decide and says the budget may change based on the inter-school magic tournament. The dark magic director feels the pressure and decides to win. At the same time, Arel asks his friends about the tournament. They explain it is the biggest event and the school tournament is its main part. Kai asks if he will join. Arel says yes in the beginner division. They get excited and argue about what magic he will use, but Arel says he will not limit himself. Mati asks which school he will represent. Arel says he will know after meeting the directors. Mati shows interest, then hides it. Elsewhere at night, the dark magic director draws a summoning circle and says he will show the true power of dark magic. He summons a huge demonic creature. A twisted mass appears. Then, suddenly, it eats him. Moments later, it merges with him and escapes. It starts to take over the magic city. The next day, the strange mass begins moving. It absorbs the monsters Black kept for experiments, growing stronger and larger. In the morning, Moti wakes Arel. At the Wind Academy, senior teachers gather to choose representatives. Black is missing, which raises suspicion. They argue over candidates. Then, Arel arrives. Right away, each teacher wants him for their school. Before they decide, heavy footsteps are heard. Everyone is shocked. Nearby, Kai, Cover, and Colette see the creature climbing walls with monsters moving inside its body. Panic spreads. Students run while Arel rises into the air. At the same time, Royce attacks with a fire spear. It has no effect. He gets ready to cast a stronger spell, but claws strike him. Dion saves him. The creature keeps going. Colette falls. Cover shields her with ice, but it shatters. Kai's explosion fails. Colette thinks it is over, but remembers Arel's words and tries a wind attack. It fails. Before the claws reach her, Arel cuts them. He praises their bravery. The teachers arrive and tell everyone to run. Arel asks to help, but they refuse. Watching the creature, they see it is linked to dark magic. They attack. All spells are taken in. The Wind Director sees that it does not fight magic. It eats it. The Yellow Director tries to trap it with earth walls. It breaks free. One suggests hitting it with a lot of mana at once, but another warns it will only grow stronger. The barrier falls. From far away, Arel watches. He sees all the spells. Nothing new to learn. Mati asks if they will just watch. Arel decides to wait. Mati explains the creature eats all magic. Mana is its food. Arel wonders, what if we hit it with more than it can eat? Mati laughs. No one has that power. He adds that physical attacks are also eaten, but Arel sees a chance. He lands and pulls out his sword. Mati questions it. Arel reminds him that he can fight with a blade. Mati feels insulted, but is told to help. Meanwhile, the creature moves toward the city. The teachers think about running away. Then, Arel dives from the sky at high speed. He uses a powerful sword technique. A lightning dragon forms and strikes the creature directly. The students watch from far away. Mati is shocked. The slime could not eat Arel's sword. Still, Arel is frustrated. His attack was not enough. The teachers arrive and ask if he is a swordsman. When he says he has no class, they are stunned. Arel tells them to stay back. Any magic will only make the slime stronger. Realizing this, the wind director sees it, heading toward the main building. They try to help, but Arel insists they will only slow him down. Even though they hesitate, they leave to protect the students. On the ground, the slime begins to heal. Mati laughs, proud it survived. Arel threatens him, then hangs him in front of it. The slime backs away. Arel thinks it does not like his taste. Mati thinks it fears them together. Arel traps it with an earth wall, then rises and calls golems. They surround it. Arel uses infinite break with their help. The slime is cut apart. The students cheer. He keeps attacking with sword and magic. The teachers wonder how someone without a class can do this. But the golems begin to fall apart. The slime heals again. Mati mocks him, so Arel changes his plan. He decides to use magic. Mati says it will only be eaten. Arel believes that hitting it with too much mana will work. He draws a magic circle, then 5 more. Mati is shocked. 6 elements at once. Arel merges them into one. He remembers Leon's warning. This kind of spell is unstable and could destroy everything. Still, he keeps going. The energy becomes harder to control. The slime gets closer. Mati waits for him to fail. Then light surrounds him. Students and teachers start giving him mana. With their help, he steadies the spell. Eat. Arel releases annihilation. The black mass disappears completely. Mati is stunned. Arel grabs him and reminds him of his words. Mati quickly changes his tone, saying he was only joking. After punishing Mati, Arel walks to the pit where the slime was. Even though he is tired, the teachers arrive. They see that his spell was not normal. It was a legendary spell used only by a mage lord. They wonder how someone his age reached this level. The yellow director says none of them knows the true path to that title. Arel answers calmly. He has no class, but learned annihilation from his father. They are shocked and ask if his father is Leon. He says yes. The fire director remembers Leon as a former co-worker, always second place. He was once a candidate for director before he disappeared. The water director remembers a similar genius who vanished. Arel explains his father mastered all 6 schools of magic, then left. When asked about becoming a mage lord, he answers simply, master all 6 types of magic. The teachers realize their own system stops people from reaching that level, and even dark magic is needed. Before they can say more, Arel disappears. Nearby, he finds a small piece of the slime that survived. Even though Mati warns him, he decides to tame it as a pet. The next day in his room, he succeeds and names it Woob Woob. It cleans like a vacuum, while Mati feels humiliated. Arel says the slime feels no pain and may have seen the fight as a game. Suddenly, Kai, Cover, and Colette run in, worried that he will leave. He says he will. There is nothing left to learn. They feel hurt, so he promises to visit. When asked about his next step, he says he will go back to his village, then go to the monster city because of his new pet. They are shocked, but he tells them not to worry. Elsewhere, a higher official scolds the directors for letting him leave. They say he cannot be forced. At that moment, Blog appears. He reveals that his body was destroyed, but his soul survived. He says dark magic is needed to create a mage lord. Elsewhere, Arel says goodbye and leaves. During his trip, a shadowy figure watches him. He flies toward his village and talks with Mati about his family. He says they are normal, but the truth shocks Mati. His mother is the sword princess Farah, and his father is Leon. He explains they retired and live quietly. At night, he stops at a nearby village and goes into an inn. Then, he takes a hot bath. That night, he returns home. His mother hugs him, and Mira jumps with joy. She is surprised to see him with a demon and a slime. That night, Rihanna talks with him about everything. He tells her about the magic city while she quietly wishes he would stay longer. The next morning, Mira comes downstairs crying, holding a letter. Arel left again, this time to the demon city. Rihanna smiles softly, knowing he cannot be stopped. In the sky, Arel flies with Modi, excited for a new journey and new powers. And here, the story comes to an end. We hope you enjoyed it. Before you leave, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more, and turn on notifications to stay updated with all new anime recaps. Share your thoughts in the comments. See you next time.